Here we go.
Hi, everyone. I am Claire Faithful, founder of Be a Smart Woman, and I'm with my wonderful friend Heather Cohen, who's a most amazing astrologer. And we have decided that we want to do a podcast together. So this is our first show, and it's all about inspiring women. It's about sharing the astrological realms that are out there and how that's affecting us as women. But we're going to go a little deeper. We don't just want it to be about women. We want it to be about this divine feminine energy, which is in all of us. And that includes our wonderful men, because we wouldn't be able to be who we are without these incredible, wonderful men out there. So even though this is about women, it's also about this beautiful energy that the masculine energy that we all have inside of us. So what would you want to say? Hey, Heather.
Hi, Claire. That was such a beautiful introduction. I love that. And I'm reminded, a very dear friend of mine just shared a story with me. He was born in Egypt, and he spoke about a funeral that he went to it was the funeral of a young boy. And in Egypt, the way the men and women are divided during the funeral, there's like a sheet between them. It's somewhat like the Jewish tradition where they divide the men and the women. And so while the men sat and prayed from the Quran, and they were like very contained, very, silent and single point focused in their prayer, the women on the other side were screaming and crying and ripping their clothes and weeping. And he said that it was the most profound experience of his life because he could feel both, right? So he was in the masculine, sort of holding space, but he was like, we were holding space so the women could express. And the women could express because we were holding space. And the women expressed for us, and we held space for them, but we were all one. And it was so powerful. Like, I almost want to cry talking about it now, of just the importance of that there's no masculine without feminine. They're the vibrations of the universe. That is the only thing going on, and they are mixed in different amounts in each person's human body, but those are the vibrations we're working with. They're the vibrations of creation. So I just feel so excited to be in service of that with you, Claire.
Yeah.
And I'm going to share a little bit about what's going on astrologically this year in 2021. And and then I would love to hear from you, Claire, about what that looks like for you.
Yeah, that would
Um,
be.
yeah, well,
I just want to add in here that Heather is the most amazing astrologer. She really is. So this is going to be a fun journey. So
yeah,
I'm excited.
we'll see how it goes. I am so happy to be here. I work as an astrologer locally and internationally out of California. And my astrology style is very, I would say, humanistic, where it's connecting the movement and vibration of the cosmos to our everyday life. So this is not some airy fairy new agey kind of thing. I'm from New York, Claire's from UK. Like, we don't mess around. So
Oh,
we're
yeah.
here to share on a very sort of earth-based level what's going on for us and how that can affect you. So what's going on astrologically in the sky? There's the big news is pretty much Aquarius. And the reason why is because Aquarius is pretty much has moved the air, the astrological shift has gone after 200 years of earth signs, has moved into air signs. And Aquarius is a kind of a watery air sign. It's called the water bearer. And so there's an aspect of emotional connection and awareness to Aquarius that is stronger, I would say, than in the other air signs. The air signs tend to be cool-minded, observing with a high level of intellect. They're very refined. People with a lot of air in their chart will have a very refined way of speaking. They're very polite and articulate. They can move from subject to subject quite easily. There's a sense of synthesizing ideas and thoughts in a very quick and effortless manner. And Aquarius is unusual in that it is ruled by Uranus, and Uranus has an elliptical orbit. If you look at Uranus in the sky, it's actually tilted. So while all the planets are sort of like this, Uranus is like that. So it has this reputation of being sort of eccentric. And so Aquarius moves us where the earth signs are much more practical, much more traditional, and much more sort of rooted in keeping things the same. Aquarius is the exact opposite because that's how astrology works. Astrology goes, you go from an air sign, then you go to a water sign. So you're switching elements into a completely new form. And so the form we're moving into, and again, Saturn is in Aquarius right now, Jupiter is in Aquarius. The energy coming in is very much about innovation, it's about newness. Aquarius rules the internet, so it has to do with connecting across. If you see Aquarius, it looks like these, the glyph is these two waves, and the waves can be interpreted either as water waves or almost as electric or energy waves. And the way that looks in real life is it has to do with the internet. It has to do with connecting to people all over the world from every race, every culture, every gender. And there's a sense of really like we are the world. And there's a sense of that we are all equal. There's no one better or worse than anyone else. And that we're all here for a purpose, and that the purpose, even though we're all working together, we are all very much individual and unique. And Aquarius calls out kind of the weirdo, like freak flag in all of us. And it encourages us to get in touch with the unique nature of our gifts and our spirit and what we're here to offer, and then join the whole as both an individual and as part of the whole. So the whole idea of everyone like mushing to like fit into the sort of normal way,
So you mean we don't have to fit into the box anymore?
no,
We can
no,
be free.
yeah,
Yay.
it's time to be free, and it's time to express, and it's time to bring our new ideas and our brilliance to the whole. And so everyone belongs. There are no outcasts. There are no yeah, just people who don't fit in because they're too weird or too different, or they're not following, the normal track. This is the time for everyone to come together, irregardless of what you look like, act like, sound like. And what that means for men and women and different cultures and different ages, and different sexual orientations, is that it's time to come together. And it's multiculturalism in the sense of a salad. You know how they have this in sociology, I think they call it the salad, where everyone's coming together, but everyone retains their individuality in the togetherness. So the
Right.
tomato is not the cucumber, right? So we're not
Right.
like a smoothie, we're like a salad. And so with
Love that.
Aquarius, we're really bringing in the salad, and how we're going to work together is up to all of us to decide. And what that means for women is retaining, we have this beautiful feminine flow, and men have it too. Everyone has it. And how are we going to really acknowledge and allow the feminine to be there in her place in the salad, and really shine just like everyone else? There's this way where we're all in this together, and we're all bringing our own unique flavor. And yeah, I'm just wondering, Claire, we've been, talking and friends for a long time and going through this shift. I'm wondering how you're sensing it and feeling it, and what you're seeing around you that's sort of reflecting this notion to you.
Well, that's a good question. I mean, I think the thing for me is that I've always had this feeling for me that we're all one. I always say it's like we're all one. We're like in one big fishbowl, but we're all unique, and we're all different. We all have different beliefs and different religions and different colors and or different. Yeah, just we're all different.
Yes.
And but yet somehow I always felt I never understood from a young girl, why people would put themselves in these boxes, or like, uh, I'm this religion and this is what I believe, but over there, well, you're different. So I don't know if I can hang out with you. And I saw that when I was a child. I would ask questions. I go, well, why? Because we're all people, we're all souls. So I think for me, moving into this new age, it's given me a sense of peace in a way, because I feel like finally it's our time. It's our
Yeah.
time to really come together. So, and I think I see in the world there's a lot of divide, but at the same time there's so much coming together, and
Yes.
there's so much positive,
Yes.
there's
Yes.
so much good, and there's people becoming more aware. I'm becoming more aware every
Yes.
day. The little sparks like
Yes.
connect, the dots connect, and I
Yes.
just feel this deep sense of hope.
Yes. And I know we had talked about when we were creating this podcast, one of the things that we spoke about at length was about how saddened we were that people never reached across the corridor to the other side, whatever the other side is. The other
Yeah.
side could be a different gender, the other side could be a different socioeconomic, religion, you name it, there's always a side.
We're always going to be different. This is the thing. And this is what I love about what you said. We are innately like all the different leaves on the trees. We're our own individual snowflake. Nothing is the same in the universe. Every single thing in the universe is slightly different. I believe even identical twins have a few tiny, minuscule little things that are completely unique to them.
Absolutely.
I'm not a scientist, so I don't know for sure, but I'm figuring. So,
Yes.
and I think in this uniqueness and this difference, it's also about finding this place where we can accept each other for our differences. It's really been something,
Yes.
yes, like we talked about it, where I've gone,
Yes.
I still see this like, well, you don't believe what I believe, so we feel somewhat threatened by that, or we have a
Exactly.
fear that maybe it means that what we're believing is wrong, or so we have to stand for it and fight for it.
Right.
And I'm hoping, the hope that I feel is that this is slowly going to change, because
Right. And our part in that, or something we had talked about, is what we want to bring with this podcast is speaking to people who may not have the same beliefs as us. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm an astrologer. That's a pretty liberal profession, I would say, you know,
definitely,
and you're doing your work with women
yeah,
and you're on another track. And it's like, what we were speaking about, particularly with the elections and how sad it was that people, I was hearing people say, oh, if you vote for this person, I can't talk to you. And I was like, really?
I know
Why?
that, and
And
I've had
so we
that
want to,
conversation before,
yeah, and we're wanting
but
to remedy that. Like that's sort of where the Aquarius steps in, is like, okay, you believe, I have very dear friends that believe very, very different things than I do, but how do we find the love and connection despite the differences? And one of the things we're going to explore on this podcast is speaking to different people who may not have the same beliefs as Claire and I. And Claire and I, I'm sure, don't agree on everything either. And so how can we
it's
look at that?
impossible.
It's impossible, right? Thank you. So how can we do this with love and sort of spread the impetus to reach across the lines? That to me feels like the most important thing, because all the movements that have ever happened have not happened with one kind of person. The women's movement would have never happened without men, never. The civil rights movement would have never happened without people from all different cultures coming in to support it. I'm sorry, that's just how it is. So, how can we support each other even when we don't really agree or see eye to eye on certain things?
Right. And that's something that's for me what I'm really passionate about. And one
Yeah,
of the reasons I started Be a Smart Woman, it was about bringing women together that are all completely unique and different. And
yeah,
because each woman has gifts, and it doesn't matter about these what political party you believe or what your religions are, what all the other different uniquenesses. That's part of what makes us individual as an
Yes.
individual. But I just felt like I wanted to bring women have gifts, women have wonderful gifts to share. And that's one of the things we're going to be doing on this podcast is interviewing fabulous women, sometimes fabulous men too, from
Yes.
all around the world
Yes.
that have different beliefs and different ways of thinking, so that we really want to show you that we can all be unique and different and all get on amazingly.
Yes.
Like,
Yes,
really, why
Claire.
not? Like,
Yes.
let's I'm like all about,
Yes.
I visualize the world being a happy place
Yes.
where
Yes.
there's no divide and we can seek to understand each other. Because I think
Exactly.
that's, I want to understand areas where I don't understand.
Exactly. And you can't understand if you shut someone out because they don't agree with you.
Oh,
And what's also, this brings me back to astrology, Claire, because you know I can't stop.
I love
Um,
astrology.
so one of the things that's happening this year as well is so every year there's 4 or 5, 6 eclipses. And what the eclipses are is they're like either a super full moon or a super new moon, depending on whether it's solar or lunar. And the eclipses this year are on the Gemini Sagittarius axis. And the eclipses come in pairs and they always work with zodiac signs that are opposite each other. So Gemini and Sagittarius are opposite each other, therefore they're magnetized. So just like Scorpio and Taurus and Cancer and Capricorn, these are the magnetized signs. So they're almost like opposites but connected. And so Gemini rules higher learning. I mean, Gemini rules learning, not higher learning, that's Sagittarius. It rules communication and it rules other languages. So someone with a lot of Gemini in their chart will be very drawn to speaking other languages and have a very strong facility with language and communication. And Gemini rules your local neighborhood, it rules your local community, it rules teaching, it rules learning. And so we have Gemini on one end. And then on the other end, we have Sagittarius. And Sagittarius, Gemini is like small picture, and Sagittarius is big picture. And Sagittarius rules higher learning, philosophy, travel, other cultures. And it also has to do with learning and teaching. And so, how interesting that in this overarching Aquarian energy, that this specific year is about learning, teaching, and learning both in your local community and with other cultures abroad, and sharing your philosophies in a balanced, caring way. And it really, we're all about learning this year. And so we want to dedicate this podcast to really learning. Like, what can we share with you that you can learn, and what can
Yeah.
our different guests share with us and share with you so we all can learn. But this really is the time for it, and I, for one, am very, very excited, and I couldn't be more thrilled to be here with you, Claire, and just feeling the love circulate of what we want to put out into the world.
Yeah, and I love that, the aspect of it's about our local community and then it's
Yes,
about this big global community, because
yes,
that's what I see happening. I see a
yes,
lot, like a lot of other people I know that, I have a girlfriend of mine, she does business stuff and she's created this whole international community to do with business, which is
exactly. Yes,
fun. And it's intriguing to me how I've known her for a long time, and all of a sudden this year she's
yes,
expanded into this, like all of a sudden it was
exactly.
like, whoa, I'm doing an
Yeah,
international summit in
right. And
January. And I was like, and she pulled it off in 3 weeks. It was out of nothing.
that's
So
incredible.
I
And
I
over the
want,
internet, because Aquarius will just connect us all over the internet
right,
and
which is
make
what I,
us all equal, like it's not like, I mean, okay, I'm gonna have a caveat that obviously if you don't have internet and you don't have access to internet and you live far away, then you don't have equal access. But for everyone who has internet, you will have equal access to all the information.
right. I also wanted to add in that today is the 1st of March, and
Yeah,
it it is the beginning, it's the first day of I think it's International Women's Month.
month. Yep.
And I think
Yes.
it's wonderful that we're starting this today
Yes.
because it wasn't like we didn't plan it because it was the 1st of March
No.
but it happened that this was when we could do it, and we went, oh my God, it's International Women's Month, and
Yes.
we have International Women's Day coming up on the 8th of March, which
Yes.
so there's a lot of great energy for women right now and all the
Yes.
wonderful things that we're doing.
Yes.
And
Yes. Yes.
that makes me really excited that we're
Yes.
doing.
So happy International Women's Day, everyone, and Claire.
Yeah.
And I just want to say that if anyone is interested in finding more about astrology with me, I do readings and I do group readings and I do events. And my astrology website will be listed in our YouTube video below.
Yes. And I my platform is called Be a Smart Woman, and it's full of all sorts of things to do with skincare and makeup and flower arrangements and food, and also areas where we're supporting women in different formats. So I invite you to go over to beasmartwoman.com.
Yes,
And yeah, and thank you
beautiful.
for watching our show today, and we will be having more of them and bringing more
Yes,
people in.
yes,
And
yes.
I love you, Heather. I love
I
that
love you
we're
too.
just going out there. We're literally
Yeah.
just doing this on a whim because it's our passion.
Yes.
So it's really coming from our heart. We don't have too much planned in the sense of a structure. We're just going for it. So we'd love it if you
Yeah.
would join us on
Yes.
the journey and give us
Please,
your feedback.
please. And anything
Definitely.
you particularly want to hear about or know about or people that you'd like us to interview, please let us know. We're open. We're open book right now.
Totally. Bye,
Okay.
everyone.
Bye, everyone.